Hi, welcome to Marvelous Mysteries. I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Jaden.
And today we're going to be covering conspiracy theories. But first we're going to do some icebreakers that I found just to help you guys get to know us a little better and also just get us in the mood for talking and podcasting this whole time. Alright, so the first icebreaker I found is, what was your favorite family vacation ever?
Am I going first?
Sure, you go first.
Okay, well, I wasn't prepared. I don't know. I want to say Disney World, but, I also liked when we would go, on camping trips and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
We used to do cousins camping, which I really enjoyed, which, if anybody doesn't know what that is exactly how it sounds, which is you go camping with all of your cousins. But yeah, probably mine, I guess.
I think my favorite trip I took with my family was when I was, I think I was 11. My family went to Mississippi, but we also went to Louisiana and New Orleans, and we did a bunch of cool stuff. We saw the Parthenon in Tennessee. We went to we stayed in this cool hotel in Mississippi. We went to a gator ranch where you ride in a wind boat. I don't know what it's called, but you're in a boat and it's propelled by a fan, and there was just a bunch of alligators and stuff, and it was interesting and cool. And it was in the swamps of Mississippi or Louisiana, so it was very interesting. But
I thought you were gonna say you rode gators.
We rode them.
I was like, wow.
No, we just looked at them in the swamps, but it was interesting. If you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, meal. I don't know. I don't know, because I really like strawberries, but that's not a meal. It's a fruit bowl.
A fruit bowl?
Maybe.
One meal. I think I would eat a stir fry every time because I love stir fry. And if I can cheat, then I can change it a little bit. But if it has to be something specific, I would just get a garlic sauce stir fry with broccoli and stuff and some rice because that's my favorite food. So I love Chinese food. Okay, what are 2 of your pet peeves?
I have a lot.
Only 2.
One of mine is definitely slow walkers. I can't handle them. In school, I would speed walk through the hallways. One, because I just wanted to get to class, but then also I'm a normally fast walker.
Mm-hmm.
And then just on top of that, I just wanted to get out of people's way because I'm y'all are moving too slow. I don't know about a second one. I had to think about that.
Oh, I'll list my first one. My first one is it's kind of specific. It's when people complain about their when people complain about things, but they're unwilling to do anything to change it. And I'm not talking about people that are they're just in their circumstances and they have no choice. But if someone I know they complain about their job and stuff, and I'm well, you have the ability to get another job, stuff like that, but they have the ability to get another job, really easily. It's just stuff like that, when it is really well within their control and they're not willing to change just because they're, lazy or whatever. Or they're, I don't know. I just don't get it. Not people that are, stuck in their circumstances and have no other option. What's your second?
I don't know. I guess another one I have is people who talk during movies.
People who talk during
Mainly if you're in a movie theater. I went to go see a movie with friends once. Slightly calling them out if they remember this. and we were watching a superhero movie or stuff like that, or something like that. And I was just not about to explain the whole superhero backstory with one of my friends, and so I made sure to sit on the very far end and put one of our friends between us so she could talk to her instead. But yeah, I really don't like when people talk during movies. Obviously, if it's something that I've seen before, I'm okay with it. If it's something I've never seen, I'm not about to be look, just wait.
I guess this one slightly contradicts my other one, but people that have I don't want to say no compassion, but no understanding of other people at all. Yeah, empathy. Yeah. So maybe now I sound like I'm a hypocrite or whatever, because I'm those people are so annoying. But now I hate it when people don't give people the benefit of the doubt. But stuff like that, I'm they people assume others are out to get them and stuff. Stuff like that is annoying. But I'm specifically speaking of like certain circumstances. So, okay, so who would you want to play you in the movie of your life? Like, what actress would you want?
I don't know that many.
Or actor, I guess.
Depending on what. I don't know. I don't know that many famous people by name.
They don't have to look like you either. Just someone you maybe like.
I don't have like a favorite actress though, or like actor or anything.
I would probably pick Emma Watson just because she already like slightly looks like me. A little bit. Like I'm like giving myself a lot of credit. I look just like Emma Watson. She slightly does, like, and she kind of has like curly hair sometimes and like brown eyes. I don't know, but plus she's like great and cool. Or like, I'm sure there are other people that would be cool, but she would be the most realistic. Or like, I'm trying to think of any actresses.
I really don't know. Like, even just, like, if I were to go off, like, someone that looks similar to me, like, I really don't know
who looks similar to you?
That looks like me at all.
Just so unique. Is there anyone you really like? Or, like, you like them in movies or whatever that it would be cool if they could play you? You would be honored. Or, like, excited?
I don't know. I feel like no, but I'm trying to, like, rack my brain for, like, any movies that I've seen recently or something like that would have, like, a female senator role or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not gonna answer that one, I guess. I don't know.
If you had a warning label, what would yours say? Mine would say that I'm really loud. Like, I speak like in Craig from Parks and Rec, when he just gets really loud. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That happens to me all the time. I can't whisper at all. Like, I'm like just talking. I'm just really loud, my voice. So, that would be mine, I think.
Oops. What was that again? Oh, warning label. Sorry, I should remember.
Yeah. What would it say? I sit on the couch for a long time.
No. Nervous, beware.
Nervous. Don't come close. Like,
don't get too close.
Like at the animal shelter.
I may shake.
She might bite.
I don't know.
Okay, so what's your favorite family holiday tradition? For any holiday, I'm assuming yours will be from Christmas.
But. Yeah, probably. It's probably gonna be Christmas one. I don't know. I do like when we, like, I'm aware it's not like just our family tradition, but when you do the whole pajamas on Christmas Eve, so you can wear them on Christmas night, and like, I do like that. Setting up the trees, you know, like the first week of October. The 7 Christmas trees.
Yeah, my family's not super into Christmas, but or really any holiday. My favorite holiday tradition is on my birthday when I get gifts. Just kidding.
I like me.
No, but on Christmas, my family, we usually go to a Chinese buffet, which is always really fun because I love Chinese food and I love eating, and it's like really unique. Not a lot of people do that, and yeah, it's always fun to go out to eat, like, with my parents. My parents are divorced, so, like, when it was earlier on, when I was younger, it was nice because we wouldn't, like, all hang out together very much. Mm-hmm. Now they hang out all the time, my parents together, but anyway, and the last one is, what's your favorite fast food chain?
I do like, I don't know, I do like Chinese food on them, but I do like, you know, Chick-fil-A. They got some bomb milkshakes, which I try not to have too much or too often because it does not agree with me personally. But it's good in the moment.
I like, it depends on what I want, but, yeah. I love Culver's fries, and, I'm trying to think, but,
I feel like I don't really eat at that many fast food chains though, you know, so it's like, I don't really have a favorite.
Yeah, I would have said Taco Bell, but now they, like, got rid of all their menu items, so I can't say them anymore. Although, am I even allowed to, like, talk about this right now? Because it's, like...
pandemic.
Yeah. Well, or no, because of, like, sponsors. Oh, so, like, if I'm, like, slashing them.
That's okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yes.
I like a lot. I like Wendy's, too, a lot. I like their fries, and, Now they have those breakfast fries, which are really good. It's not sponsored. I just like them. Oh,
It's not sponsored by Wendy's.
it's not. Okay, so do you want to go first and do your conspiracy, or do you want me to go first? Last time I went first, so do you want to, like, take turns going first, or do you want to just do it based on what is, like, interesting?
I guess I really don't care, but we can... I guess we can take turns until, like, we don't feel like doing that anymore.
Okay, so you go first.
Okay, so the conspiracy theory that I chose to do was on the Great Sphinx of Giza. So I have, like, a little bit of back history that I quickly jotted down, whatever, before I got into the theories. So the Sphinx of Giza is a statue made of limestone. And if anybody doesn't know what it looks like, which I feel like a lot of people do, it's carved in the shape of a creature with the body of a lion and head of a human, of a head of a pharaoh, I guess if I want to be specific. And it faces west to east and is located on the Giza Plateau. Is that how you say it? Plateau? T-E-A-U?
Plateau. I think so.
Okay, making sure. On the west side of the Nile in Egypt, and the statue is believed to be the pharaoh Khafre. I think that's how you say it. I probably should have looked up how to pronounce some of these names because. Yeah. But it's fine. Y'all can look it up. The statue is 240 feet long, 66 feet high, and 62 feet wide. It's one of the oldest known sculptures in Egypt, thought to have been sculpted during Khafre's reign from 2558 to 2532 BC. And then, while this is a thought, there are other theories that perhaps the Sphinx isn't directly connected with Khafre, that maybe the connection between the two is merely circumstantial. And if I remember, I didn't really jot too much down about this guy, or this pharaoh specifically, because it wasn't really the most important part of anything. But I think they did say that because there was, like, pyramids or something made for him, there's, like, a potentially a connection between the Sphinx and that pyramid for him, so, like, that's why, like, it could have been him that was carved onto it, or whatever. And there was an Egyptologist named Thomas Young who had found an inscription where Khafre's name was potentially mentioned. However, the inscription only mentions Khaf and not Khafre, and Thomas Young had inserted the rest of the name to Khafre, but then when he was re-excavated in 1925, the text that referred to Khafre was destroyed. So that was just a bit of back history, in case you were wondering. So I have 4 different theories, and I mean, I'll get through them probably pretty quick, because I didn't really look too much into some of them, and then other ones were pretty like, this is all there is for it, kind of thing. Yeah. So, one that I found was the ancient lost city beneath Egypt, which is, I think actually, like, a pretty well-known, like, conspiracy theory, because, like, I kind of kept coming across it, people being like, oh, like, there might be tunnels and things underneath the Sphinx. But, basically, in March 1935 is when this was first mentioned, I believe. But after the theory of there being tombs of queens in shafts that sunk deep in the ground to burial tombs that had been mentioned. It had been mentioned and publicized, but it was completely ignored. So even though people were like, there's evidence of there being possibly tombs and things beneath, the media kind of just like washed over it.
Underneath the Sphinx.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then so there was a man who, I don't know how to say his name, but I'm just gonna call him by his last name, Hawass. I think that's how you say it. It's Hawass. Okay. He's still alive to this day, though. I looked him up and I was like, oh, he's like 70-something. Anyways.
Oh, wow.
But he had publicly announced that there wasn't anything beneath the Sphinx, even though there were multiple photos of him entering shafts from the head of the Sphinx in from the rear of it.
So people have gone, like, under the Sphinx, but only him?
Yeah, there was, like, I think, if I remember correctly, there was, like, him and, like, his group, or, like, at least a partner with him. Okay. And there were photos taken of them, of, like, going inside, where people were like, why are you saying that there's nothing beneath there? Or at least...
Can anyone, like, why can't anyone go in? Are you going to get to that?
I didn't really, like, say anything about that. Because I also didn't really look too much into that part. So but
okay.
I think it was... I mean, I did mention, like, kind of further on that the guy did mention that, where is it? that it wasn't possible to go further beneath the Sphinx because the paths were blocked or full of water.
Okay, so they're
but
just
the
like
photos that were
relying
showed that it was pretty dry inside.
on-
So, yeah. Anyways,
That's
so
sketchy.
it's yeah. And then there's also like pictures of him climbing down to a chamber, which had a large sarcophagus which was filled with water. And so people were kind of confused why he was denying some of the stuff. And I don't know if it was just him or if it was also his people that were with him. But from what I saw of like quotes from him and stuff, it seemed like he was kind of the main lead on it. So I didn't go too much into that one because that wasn't the one I was initially looking for. Because the next one is my favorite one, which probably isn't actually true at all. But I just find it the most interesting. So, but yeah, so there's technically, I think there are tunnels and things underneath the Sphinx, and it could go deeper, but it's kind of also been debunked, so it's either or.
Interesting.
So the one that I really found interesting is about the Sphinx's head. So because of the different construction and the color of the Sphinx's head, some people believe that it might not be rock, but something else man-made, which might mean that the Sphinx's head was changed from its original shape to something else. So, like, the body's made of limestone, but the head's made of something else.
Okay.
And there's also less erosion on the head compared to the rest of the body. And so, did I write down the guy's name? Oh, I did, okay. So there was this guy named Robert Temple, and he wrote a book talking about how the original statue, the head, might have been the god Anubis, and his face was recarved to look like the Middle Kingdom pharaoh Amenemhet. I tried pronouncing this before now and I got it down, but now I can't. How do you say that? Do you know?
Let me see. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
I don't know. I'm not really good at pronouncing things.
a second.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people will be able to figure out what the heck I'm trying to say, or I could probably actually find something that will pronounce it for me.
Yeah.
But anyways, where'd it go? We're just gonna take a little break real quick and see how to pronounce this.
Yeah.
Pronunciation. Oh my gosh, this is such a lengthy process to get to it. Please play. Guess I should have had this, like...
Amenemhet for other individuals.
I don't know what that was. Never mind, we're just...
Just move on.
Yeah, we're gonna move on. So, it was recarved to look like the Middle Kingdom pharaoh. Let's stop there, how about? Because I can't pronounce his name. It was thought to be him just because... Oh, yeah, sorry, I got lost now that I tried to look that up. Anyways, so it was thought to be the god Anubis head got switched to the pharaoh guys, and the reason why they think it's that guy specifically is because of the eye makeup and the style of the pleats and the headdress. Okay. And then in Robert Temple's book, he shows a photograph of ancient sluice gate traces to show that the Sphinx, if it were Anubis, was surrounded by a moat called Jackal Lake, which is where religious ceremonies were held. That didn't really have any significance to this, other than I just thought that was interesting. But I did find two pictures, and they can't see, but you can see. So this is what he kind of like thought it might look like, because it's a lot more proportional if it was the jackal head, not the human head.
Yeah, so it's...
And someone did note that on the Sphinx now, of that, like the picture of it, that there's like cracks running from the base of the neck to the Sphinx to the ground.
Well,
so
if you check out our Instagram, we'll show you.
Yeah, I'll put it on our Instagram. Yeah, that's a good point. However, I did go ahead and write down a couple sentences about people saying why this may not be true.
Okay.
And one of them was like, either way, the head compared to the body is proportional, and even if it isn't Anubis's head, it could have been another pharaoh's head before it was replaced with the now pharaoh's head, you know? And then also Anubis is technically a god with an animal head and a human body, and it's not the other way around, which the Sphinx is a animal body, human head, and it technically should be flipped if it was going to be him. But I still find that one a lot more interesting. I tried looking very hard into that one, and, like, there wasn't a lot of information on it, which maybe I should just try to have, like, found stuff from that guy's book. Maybe would have been helpful. I didn't think about that till now.
It's fun.
I just personally find that one most interesting out of the four that I have. So the last two go hand in hand, and are the I would say the most...
Wild.
Yeah, I guess.
Outlandish.
Outlandish. Maybe some people, if they're listening to this, will contradict me and be like, look, it's true.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the first one is that the ancient Egyptians had aircrafts. So, and this is directly from the article, by the way, just because I highlighted it instead of trying to take down notes. But anyways, so the idea that ancient Egypt may have somehow possessed incredible futuristic technology is not a new one, is what it says. And the aircraft theory comes from the discovery of hieroglyphics that appear to depict modern-looking boats as well as, and most notably, helicopters and planes. Which I kind of want to, like, see what they're talking about, because I've seen some hieroglyphics before. I'm like, I have not seen a plane or a helicopter, but maybe I missed it. And conspiracy theorists have used this as evidence to prove that the ancient Egyptians were regularly... Oh my gosh, can you say that for me?
Regularly?
Yeah. It's been a long day. Visited and influenced heavily by an alien race known as the Unanki, I think is how you say it.
Okay.
Which just reminds me of the Parks and Rec. You know what I'm talking about, when they go to the park and there's like that group of old men who are waiting for the lizard god to come.
Yeah, what's their name? No, they're the reasonablest in Parks and Rec.
Yeah, but aren't they like waiting for like a lizard god?
Yeah, he's gonna kill everyone for the end of the world.
Yeah, that just reminded me of that. Which is, but anyway, so the Unanki, I think is how you say it, is a reptilian-like race who allegedly visited the ancient Egypt and gifted them with phenomenal knowledge on science and mathematics. And it kind of goes on later to say, like, if the ancient Egyptians really did have modern speedboats and helicopters, then surely they would have mentioned it more in hieroglyphics in scripture. And, like, they were also saying that the pharaoh probably would have been buried with an aircraft or boat parts or something like that, you know?
There'd be something.
Yeah, there'd be something more. Yeah. So that was kind of the end of that one, because I didn't look too much in that one, but I was like, a little wild, a little interesting, though.
Yeah.
The next one is that the aliens built the Sphinx.
Okay.
Which I feel like has kind of been mentioned before, but like, oh, aliens built the pyramids and stuff.
Yeah, the meme or whatever.
Yeah, so, they're, like, one of the reasons why they're like, oh, maybe it was aliens is because we don't actually know who built the Sphinx or whatever. And there's no markings, carvings, or evidence of a name placement on the Sphinx, which is rare for ancient Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And for pharaohs, because they probably would have carved their name on it, right?
That's true, yeah.
So that's why they're like, we're not really sure who built it or when it was even built. And the Sphinx was found to be built exactly in line with the Leo star constellation, which is rumored by conspiracy theorists to be the home of the reptilian alien race, the Unanki.
Oh.
If you didn't know that, there's that little fact.
Wow.
The positioning of the Sphinx was calculated perfectly through mathematics and astronomy, but internet theorists state that the Egyptians must have been taught these skills by a superior race. And the Egyptian god Sobek is even depicted as being a humanoid figure with reptilian and crocodile-like head. So, oh no, there's more to that. Okay, there's more. I thought that was the end of it, but it also says this concept is brought into the universe as a whole, and theorists think that aliens could have used mathematics to communicate with us if the elusive first contact is ever made. As a result, the Egyptians having advanced mathematics before their time could be interpreted as evidence of extraterrestrial contact because they're better at math. I don't know. Like I said, and that's the end of mine. I didn't go very far into this because I was mainly focused on the jackal head one, but there wasn't like anything on it. But as for the alien ones, I suppose people can believe it if they would like. However, I'm not saying that there isn't, 100% no alien or other.
You don't think they built the pyramids?
I don't think they would have popped down to Earth and be like, "Here's a pyramid," and left.
That's
just my opinion. But yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so should I do mine?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we did very different ones. You did like something a little bit more like, olden, like, I don't know, even the word like mythical kind of thing. I did the death of Jeffrey Epstein. So, and this conspiracy surrounding that. So I hope I don't get killed, but.
Oh my gosh. Well, I haven't ever really heard anything about this.
Okay,
before,
well,
so it'll be
I
interesting
have a
to
lot.
read.
I watched so I got a lot of this just from the internet, and I watched the documentary on Netflix. And it's really hurts your soul, because it's just super sad, because he was horrible, and just like, he's super rich and had a lot of money, so he's able to get away with all this stuff and is like untouchable. So it's just like it was a little soul crushing to watch, but it's good. The ending is good. Like, all the women that came forward and stuff.
Oh, he's dead.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't know if he died last year.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll tell you how.
Okay.
But okay, so basically,
Oh yeah, that is your conspiracy.
yeah, that's my conspiracy theory, girl.
I forgot that the whole thing is
It's about his death. Yeah. Okay, so basically, at first, his professional life, he was like a teacher in the Upper East Side of Manhattan. This is just a really quick, I'm not going into a lot of details about like this part, because I don't have that much and it's not that important, but he was a teacher for a few years in the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Basically, it sounds like he didn't really have a bachelor's. He wasn't qualified for even that, but somehow he got the job, and he lied on his resume, and like in the 70s, it's much easier to do than now, I'm guessing. But he was already, like, allegedly, he showed inappropriate behavior towards underage students, and he was eventually dismissed from the school for poor performance, but he was offered a job at Bear Stearns. And so for years, he was like a hedge fund manager. He was just a financial guy, basically, stuff I don't understand. But he became extremely, extremely wealthy by doing that. He created this circle of like all these elite people, these elite individuals. Like, he was very good friends with like Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, all these like high, powerful names. So that's just background, and that's important to like the story kind of. So in 2005, in Palm Beach, Florida, they began investigating him after a parent complained that he sexually abused her 14-year-old daughter. He pleaded guilty and was convicted in 2008 by the Florida State Court. He only served like 13 months in custody, but he was released. Basically, his lawyers like created this really nice plea deal for him, and he like barely served any time, and because he had, like a ton of money, a ton of lawyers. And basically, the background of the investigation, when I looked into it, like, a lot of cops didn't want to do it. Like, a lot of cops called a lot of his friends, but they would not say anything about him because they didn't want to get sued. And so basically what he did to these, I think they were all underage, most of them at least, he would use his power to just manipulate them into not reporting. So he would get girls to come to his house, ask them to massage him and his friends, and he'd pay them $200, and then he'd do like all sorts of different things, but basically he'd sexually assault them. And they couldn't say anything just because they saw how much money he had. They saw his house. They saw pictures of him in his house with all these like high profile people, and they knew that nothing would come, like that he was untouchable, it seemed.
Were those just his students, or just like
anyone? So at this point, he's like a hedge fund manager, like whatever, like finance. He's doing all sorts of stuff like that. I don't know.
Okay.
And so basically what he did is he would tell girls, he'd give them $200 to massage him, or like one girl in the documentary, he paid her $200 to get her friends. So he'd say, do you have any friends? If you do, bring them to me. Every friend you bring, I'll give you $200 for every friend you bring. And then you do that to those girls and those girls. So it's like a pyramid scheme, basically, of this like really creepy, like, like just really creepy, like, sex trafficking ring he like created. So nothing came of it for years and years. So in 2017, when the Me Too movement started, that kind of just gave power to all the women that had been assaulted by him. They didn't feel like shameful. They didn't feel alone. A lot of them decided to come forward. a lot of things also came forward when Donald Trump nominated Frank Acosta as U.S. Secretary of Labor. So this plea deal, he helped Epstein create this plea deal, and it kind of came forward when he nominated him, because they kind of grill all the people that he nominated. They're they don't want him, obviously, a lot of them. And so it came out that he created this, really, the plea deal was bad for, obviously, the victims and the general public, but really good for Epstein. But so since that came out, it was ruled by the U.S. government, that the U.S. government entered into a conspiracy that violated the crimes victims' rights by not letting the 30 identified victims know of the deal so they would have a chance to oppose it. So since they didn't let him know that he was that there was this plea deal, they couldn't oppose it. So him and all these people were in danger of getting in trouble for this again. He no longer had immunity from this. So on July 6, 2019, he was arrested in New York on multiple charges, including sex trafficking. He was placed in Metropolitan Correction Center in Lower Manhattan, pleaded not guilty. This has already happened to him, and he escaped on the plea deal, but previously on his plea deal, he had to plead guilty on 2 state felony charges, pay restitutions to the victims, and be a registered sex offender, both in Florida and New York. But in this case, the judge denied him bail, even though he had so much money. That's what a lot of the victims were terrified of. But because they thought he was a flight risk, and just because of they said he was a threat to society, he appealed the decision. But before they even got to it, he died. The appeal was still pending when he died.
Okay.
So here's his death. So at 1:27 a.m. on July 23rd, 2019, he was found semi-conscious in his cell with injuries to his neck. He told his lawyers that he'd been assaulted by his cellmate. His cellmate, a multiple murderer, was questioned by prison officials but denied it. He even said he saved him, that maybe he was harming himself. The internal prison investigation cleared him of any connection, the cellmate. So people think that this was staged so he could be transferred to a different facility. Some people say that was his first suicide attempt. But people also thought there's a high probability that he would be murdered in prison, just because he's wealthy and he's gone out before, and then also just the fact prisoners treat people that assault minors horribly. That's not the crime you want to have when you're in prison.
I really didn't know that.
Yeah, they if you're especially children, they'll kill you in prison. They're very but if you kill a cop, they love you, apparently. So after this, he was on suicide watch. They watched him. After 6 days, they dismissed the suicide watch after psychiatric evaluation. So then he was returned to a special housing unit where he was supposed to have a cellmate and be checked on every 30 minutes. So when this is the discrepancies.
Okay.
So obviously he was found in his cell. So he was placed in the SHU. They said that he would have a cellmate be checked on every 30 minutes. Those procedures, however, were not followed the night he died. On August 9th, Epstein's cellmate was transferred and no replacement was brought in. The evening of his death, he met with his lawyers, who described him as upbeat before being escorted back to the SHU at 7:49 p.m. by a guard. CCTV footage shows that 2 guards failed to perform the required institutional count at 10 p.m. and recorded his guard briefly walking by his cell at 10:30 p.m., which is the last time they entered into the tier where his cell was. through the night, violation of the jail's normal procedure. He was not checked on every 30 minutes. The two guards that were assigned to check his cell overnight had apparently fallen asleep at their desks for 3 hours and later falsified related records. 2 cameras in front of his cell apparently malfunctioned, and another camera footage was unstable.
Sounds a bit sketch.
So, at 6:30 a.m., the morning of August 10th, he was found unresponsive and cardiac arrest in his cell. He was found in a kneeling position with his bedsheet wrapped around his neck. It was tied to the top bunk, and they thought he was been dead for 2 hours. They performed CPR, and at 6:33 a.m., they pulled the alarm. 3 minutes, so it's only 3 minutes later. Notified their supervisor. He was rushed to New York Downtown Hospital, and he was pronounced dead at 6:39 a.m. So this is all within like 10 minutes, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Then his body was transported to the medical examiners, and then it was like really soon after ABC News reported it. So, these are some more discrepancies. The removal of his body from the cell was a violation of protocol, as the Bureau of Prisoners mandates that a suicide scene should be treated with the same level of protection as any crime scene when a death has occurred. Consequently, prison personnel also failed to photograph his body as it was found. So, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then Michael Baden and 60 Minutes questioned whether he could do that. So he's almost 6 feet, weighed 185 pounds, and they thought that he couldn't have hung himself like from the lower bunk because he was like on his knees on the lower bunk or whatever, I guess.
Okay.
But photos taken after show bottles and medicine standing upright on the top bunk. Moreover, the former inmate described the prison sheets as paper level, not strong enough to support his body. They also questioned why they didn't use other materials. So apparently he had a sleep apnea machine, and so then the guy's like, why wouldn't he just have used that to kill himself when he could have used the wires that are stronger? So on August 14th, unofficial sources reported that the broken bones found in his neck, although they can the types of break that there's like apparently 3 breaks, and I'm not a doctor, so I don't really know. But apparently, although some people say that they are more common in homicide, or like they can occur in suicide of the elderly, the type of breaks and the way it is apparently more common in the victims of strangulation. Though multiple studies have shown that it could be either. So basically, yeah, so people don't think he killed himself. So here's a few like theories. They're all basically the same. But so a few hours after his death, Trump tweeted saying like it's related to the Clinton body count conspiracy, which is basically there are several people that are connected to Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton that have like died and stuff.
Because I've heard like that title before, but I never really
so
into it.
Basically, it's just like a lot of people connected to them. Like, if you look into it, there are several people that have died, some from suicide, some from other things, and they think it's somehow related to them. I mean, I don't know. And then, so Trump wanted a full investigation on them, but also he probably just hates them.
It's a good time to bring this up with the election coming.
Yeah. So this is why I'm gonna die. No, just kidding.
No.
So both Trump and Bill Clinton were like his friends. Those are the biggest names that the documentary mentioned. They were like, or they did business with him, stuff like that. So both sides of the political party thought like Trump has ties to Epstein, Clinton has ties to Epstein, but really they both kind of do. But although right after he died, both of them really tried to distance themselves from him, saying like they weren't ever a fan of him or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then there's Prince Andrew, there's Virginia Giuffre, and she's claimed that both Epstein and Prince Andrew assaulted her. Prince Andrew obviously denies it, but my point with all these are like, these are all super, super powerful people. So the point is that they had him killed because they could be connected with him. So if they followed through the prosecution,
Oh, so there's like this whole ring, and like they take out the middleman. So like...
Exactly. So in the documentary, like people said, like there are a lot of powerful people. Like he just in the ring he created, he's just a small piece in that basically. Right. And there's much more powerful people, I'm sure, connected. Yeah. That's why the documentary like hurt my soul, because I know like. Yeah, that's great. They caught him, kind of, like, I mean, he just died. Could be so much but there's
more that's still going on. And...
It's super soul-crushing, because he's just the one they caught. And it's just, like, kind of, like, fortunate that they were able to. So, the next one is mostly about money, so, no one really knows, actually, how he, created his multi-million-dollar fortune. It grew over time due to his business dealings, but people just aren't sure about the initial startup amongst it. So a lot of people think that he blackmailed a lot of powerful people.
Okay.
So once he was in prison, they could just kill him. I guess I don't know why they didn't kill him before, but I'm guessing because then this is the easiest way. No one's going to go through anything. And I'm sure, like on the dark web, there are... like assassins, stuff like that. Like you can hire a hitman and they can make it look like an accident. Yeah, on Craigslist. I'm sure.
You say that.
I'm sure there's something like that. And then there's also just straight up like the guards could have just allowed this to happen. Like he has prior convictions. Because of all these like children and underage girls that he assaulted, like it could just be someone in prison that just killed him. And the guards just let it happen. This prison is notoriously a harsh place, so it could have just been someone, like, trying to get back at him. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So it's all the same theory that someone just killed him, but there's, like, different reasons. Whether it be because they're afraid of getting caught, or, like, to get rid of his blackmail, or just because, like, they hate, some prisoners just hate him, and the guards turn a blind eye, maybe, or whatever. So here's some reasons like why it could just be suicide. So I guess basically the victims were supposed to get restitutions from his fortune afterwards, but like a few days before he died, he transferred a bunch of his assets, and this is finance, so I'm not gonna know. It's really tricky to explain, and I don't even understand, but like to some islands or something, so it made it a lot harder. Yeah, so it's gonna make it a lot harder for the victims to get their restitutions, and he did that 2 days before he died. And just like the kind of person he is, he, like in the documentary, he told one of the girls, and they like quoted him or whatever, that he said he's never gonna get caught, and just that type of personality of like he never thought he would. He was arrogant, and so like he's like, I'm not gonna face consequences. So it was really sad. Some of the girls, well, now they're older, but it was really hard for them because he still doesn't technically have to face any consequences. Like, he's not in jail. He just, like, killed himself or was killed. But, yeah, so it's interesting. I did this because there was, like, what was that?
Like, the waistband just, like, was, like, folded.
I thought you were, like, back. Your chest cracked or something.
Oh my ribs went back in
I know.
Place. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so it's interesting. It could be either, like, but I mean, I'm sure it's probably just that he did kill himself, and it's just unfortunate that the prison guards fell asleep, because the prisons are also notoriously extremely underfunded. So
yeah, I'll say because like obviously that probably or is the logical or is the answer that he just killed himself. I was like, just because you mentioned that, like, first of all, they didn't follow their routine.
I know, that's...
The fell asleep thing is kind of, like, understandable in the way of which, like, okay, if they're up all night, like, you could kind of see that happening, and that was just, like, a really bad coincidental thing. But, like, the camera's also cut out, so I'm like...
I know. And also, like, I'm really surprised, because he's so high profile, you know? Like, he's crazy. Like, he's a very high-profile prisoner or whatever, you know? So I would think that they would want to constantly be watching him. Or at least
have someone always positioned outside his door. Exactly. Anything like that. And when you mentioned it, I was like in my head, I was like, maybe he took like a cyanide pill somehow that like they got it to him.
No, it was like.
But I guess that would have left like foaming at the mouth. It wouldn't have left.
Yeah, and they called for like another autopsy, but I mean they said they still ruled the same thing, but we'll see. It could just be a conspiracy of the government, like high-powered officials. So I don't know.
He's like said, I literally like when his name was like going around so much last year or whenever
it was around last summer.
Like I literally didn't know who it was. Like that's how like out of the news I am sometimes.
Yeah.
Because people kept mentioning it and I was like, okay, like obviously like just from the sound, I was like, okay, he sounds like a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, I didn't think he was technically died. I guess it would have been last year. I was thinking like he died like further back.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting to learn because I didn't really know anything about it and I always forgot to look up more information and things. But
yeah, it was interesting. The documentary is, what is it? It's Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich, and it's good. It just is like, be warned. It's like, it hurts your spirit a little because like like it's just sad and tragic that this was allowed to happen.
Right.
But it's good and it's awesome to hear the survivors and stuff. So, but yeah, those are our conspiracy theories.
Mine wasn't much different. When you said like you're just like, oh, it's not like really mystery related or like creepy. It's just like, well, you didn't tell me what it was when I texted you.
Right.
But I was like, okay, like I was thinking kind of like the same level as mine.
Yeah.
I almost said Amelia Earhart.
That would be interesting.
There were some conspiracy theories about her about like one of them was like, you know, her plane crashed and like either she died in the ocean or she crashed on another island. And I don't know. I'm not starting Amelia Earhart conspiracy theory, but there's a lot of them about her though that I almost did. Maybe next time I'll do her. We'll do a whole
Don't give it away now.
Amelia Earhart.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we will do a podcast next week. So we'll see you guys next week. You can subscribe to our channel. You can follow us on Instagram.
What is our Instagram handle? I think it's just
Marvelous
Mysteries Podcast, but I think between each word there's like an
underscore. Yeah, so you can follow us there. But yeah,
I can also put it on the end of the video or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, I realized last week I was like, this is our sad setup, and then our camera cut out, which was, by the way, we're also gonna have video, especially for the first podcast, and then the camera just cut off after 3 minutes.
Yeah. So, and then we gave up completely.
Yeah, now we're just doing audio. Maybe someday we'll do footage and audio, but just for now, it's just audio.
Yeah.
It's just simpler.
All right. Well, thanks for listening.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.